Tonight, our special coverage of Israel's war in Palestine as it enters its third week. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Israel's war in Palestine has entered its third week with no sign of ceasefire. In the latest series of Israel's relentless bombing, Israel has targeted residential areas in Gaza as the besieged strip endures one of its bloodiest nights. Israeli forces have bombed the densely populated Jabalia refugee camp. They've also struck near two hospitals, Al-Shifa and Al-Quds. Palestinian health officials say the bombardment has resulted in the tragic loss of at least 400. Israel has also intensified its military operations in the occupied West Bank, leading to two Palestinian casualties during an overnight raid. A third convoy of aid trucks has entered the Gaza Strip through the Rafah crossing from Egypt. Over the weekend, a total of 34 trucks carried essential supplies into Gaza, including medical aid, food, and water. However, UN officials say 100 trucks per day are needed to meet the critical needs of Gaza's 2.3 million inhabitants. Hospitals in Gaza are in dire need of electricity, fuel, and medications. The UN has intensified pressure on both Israel and Hamas, calling for a humanitarian ceasefire to facilitate safe aid delivery. A report by the New York Times says U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin is pressuring the Israeli government to delay any potential ground warfare. This move is primarily aimed at allowing additional U.S. military resources to reach the region and facilitating the release of captives. On the other hand, China is calling for an immediate ceasefire. China says it is committed to taking necessary actions to bring an end to the conflict. The toll of the conflict continues to rise. Reports show at least 5,087 Palestinians have lost their lives in Israeli attacks on Gaza. Out of these, 1,020 deaths reported are women. 500,000 people have been displaced from their homes, and more than 1,400 individuals have been killed in Israel. And in related news, Canada, the US, the UK, France, Germany, and Italy have issued a joint statement emphasizing their unwavering support for what they call Israel's right to self-defense. The statement says the leaders are committed to Israel's right to safeguard itself against terrorism while urging compliance with international humanitarian law, especially regarding the protection of civilians. The joint statement follows discussions between leaders of these 6 nations. All leaders have expressed contentment with the recent release of 2 American hostages by the Hamas group. They are calling for an immediate liberation of remaining hostages. The statement says the 6 nations are closely coordinating efforts to support their nationals in the region, particularly those seeking to depart from Gaza. The leaders also pledged to maintain close coordination to provide support to Israel. The U.S. says it will retaliate if its troops are attacked during the Israel-Hamas conflict. In an interview on NBC, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has expressed concerns about the potential escalation of the conflict involving Iranian-backed militants. Blinken says the Biden administration has taken steps to defend American personnel. He says the U.S. military has deployed additional military assets to the Middle East. Blinken says Israel does not want to govern Gaza once the conflict ends, and that a new solution must be found to prevent future threats from Hamas. Israel's airstrikes continue to intensify as it prepares for a possible ground offensive. Israel's plans after the offensive, however, remain uncertain. President Biden has discussed the situation with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Biden also had a conversation with Pope Francis. Leaders representing Ottawa's Jewish, Muslim, and Christian communities have issued a joint statement denouncing all forms of hatred. The news comes after there has been an increase in anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian rhetoric in different cities in Canada. Mayor of Ottawa, Mark Sutcliffe, released a statement this past Friday. The statement says there is a need for collaboration in maintaining Ottawa's safety and tranquility. It condemns any form of discrimination and hatred irrespective of global events. The statement is co-signed by 33 local faith leaders. The statement calls for the diverse faith groups and individuals in Ottawa to refuse to derive any pleasure or glorification from violence. In an interview with a media source, a rabbi who was also the signatory of the statement says Canadians should present a unified front against intolerance and hatred within the city. Imam Sikandar Hashmi says there is a dire need to present a message of unity during challenging times, especially with heightened cases of hate and Islamophobia across Canada. Despite the ongoing efforts to curb religious differences, the Ottawa Police Service has noted an 11.4% increase in hate-motivated incidents in the city in comparison to the same period last year. And an investigation is underway by the Montreal police following the discovery of a hateful message scrawled on a wall near the Badr Islamic Center in Montreal. The message consisted of a swastika, a hanging figure, and a derogatory message targeting Muslims. The graffiti has been removed. However, the distressing incident is causing fear and unease among worshippers and visitors. Imam Mujib Rahman of the center has emphasized the need for peace and nonviolence in response to the incident. Samir Majzoub, president of the Canadian Muslim Forum, says he is deeply concerned about the increasing incidents of hate directed towards the Muslim community. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has led to a rise in anti-Islamophobic incidents all over the world. In Canada, there are reports of escalating hostility towards both Muslim and Jewish communities. Montreal police have reported several hate crimes against both Arab Muslims and Jewish communities. Montreal police have implemented precautionary measures such as increased visibility around places of worship to ensure the security of the communities. An independent fact-checking service has uncovered a disinformation campaign regarding Israel-Hamas conflict with a notable Indian presence. According to Boom, an Indian-based digital initiative, Indian social media users are at the forefront of spreading negative news about Palestine. These posts show support for Israel's actions against Palestinian civilians. The campaign includes sharing misleading videos and information. One such example is a video falsely claiming that Palestinian fighters took young girls as sex slaves. Fact-checker Pratik Sinha says India has become the, quote, disinformation capital of the world due to the rise of right-wing nationalism. Some experts link the spread of false information to the ruling party Bharatiya Janata Party's IT cell, a department responsible for social media campaigns. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is openly supporting Israel in its war in Palestine. The support reflects strong diplomatic and personal ties between him and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Although the Indian Foreign Office says it supports the Palestinian cause, Modi's pro-Israel stance has emboldened right-wing Hindu extremists. Modi's rhetoric has trickled down to his followers. The right-wing beliefs are being used in the Israel-Gaza conflict to fuel anti-Muslim sentiments. India says its relationship with Canada is facing challenges due to what it calls continued interference by Canadian personnel. The statement comes as the two countries have been dealing with distraught ties since last month. A few weeks ago, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau suggested that Indian agents may have been involved in the murder of a Sikh separatist leader in British Columbia. India vehemently denies the allegation. Instead, in response, India demanded that Canada withdraw 41 of its diplomats. The decision has been criticized by Trudeau. Trudeau says the move affects the lives of millions in both nations. India's External Affairs Minister says India has taken the step in accordance with the Vienna Convention due to its concerns about continuous interference by Canadian personnel. On the other hand, Canada's Foreign Minister calls India's actions unreasonable, unprecedented, and in violation of the Vienna Convention. India has also ceased issuing visas in Canada. The Indian Foreign Minister says visa issuance could resume if progress is made in ensuring the safety of Indian diplomats in Canada. India represents Canada's largest source of overseas students, accounting for approximately 40% of study permit holders. 2 million Canadians have an Indian heritage. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now. so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.